goals, creating some sort of an intuitive understanding between the two. HEZBOLLAH.
Alright, we're going to do a little history lesson, then we're going to get into some things some people said. Let's listen to this.
Was formally announced to the world in 1985, but many had already become familiar with the group by this point. The Islamic Jihad Organization, or IJO, had carried out high-profile attacks, namely the 1983 bombing of the US Embassy and subsequent attacks on the US and French barracks later that year, both in Beirut. Also in the 1980s, there was a hostage crisis where over 100 foreign targets were abducted. The IJO was later assimilated within HEZBOLLAH, and its leader, Imad Mughniya, would eventually become HEZBOLLAH's chief of military affairs. And in the case of the kidnappings, although HEZBOLLAH publicly denied involvement, it is widely believed to have been behind them, largely because the IJO was instrumental in many of these kidnappings. HEZBOLLAH's main aim from the start revolved around expelling foreign forces from Lebanon. This applied chiefly to two countries, America and Israel. The former had intervened along with a number of other European countries to form the MNF in 1982, which was created in the first place as a reaction to Israel's invasion of Lebanon that year. By 1984, the MNF were forced out of the country. The Israelis also pulled out of Beirut and much of Lebanon by 1985, but continued to occupy southern Lebanon in the aim of establishing a security zone that would protect its northern frontier. This occupation was essentially how HEZBOLLAH made its name. For the next 15 years, it fought against the Israeli army and its Christian militia proxy, the South Lebanon Army. In addition, the militant group also fought against other Lebanese factions. From 1985 until 1988, HEZBOLLAH fought on the side of the Palestinian Liberation Organization against Amal in what is referred to as the War of the Camps. In this sub-conflict, HEZBOLLAH was pitted against its future ally Syria, who actually played a prominent role in the Lebanese civil war, controlling much of the eastern part of the country, including the Bekaa Valley where HEZBOLLAH was first formed. In the final years of the civil war, HEZBOLLAH and Amal went to war again in what is now known as the War of Brothers. But this ended in 1990 and the two groups reconciled under the auspices of their respective sponsors, Syria and Iran, two countries who were already building budding relations with each other starting in the 1980s. The group etched a name for itself during the civil war through its fighters' determination and discipline on the battlefield. Even at this early stage, HEZBOLLAH was aided by Iran, with the IRGC sending advisors to the Bekaa Valley to train and equip the group. This alliance was a no-brainer, both being 12 Shias and both belonged to an ideological background that was rooted in the Shia seminaries of Iraq and Iran. HEZBOLLAH's current dominance cannot be understood without recognizing its close ties with the Ayatollah's regime in Iran.
Yeah. Change with Acorns instead. That way, every time you spend, you can write it up towards your future. Start investing, just your spare change for the dollars.
Get. Hold on.
Whether you're backing up your home, exploring the outdoors, or powering the jobs.
All right.
By the end of the 1980s, the Lebanese
we got
civil
distracted, but
war
we're
was
back.
to a conclusion. The Taif Agreement of 1989 signaled the beginning of the end, with all fighting ceasing by January 1991. The various factions and militias agreed to put down their arms as Lebanon finally embraced peace. Only one group defiantly refused to disarm:
HEZBOLLAH.
No doubt the Iranians, through their links with Syria, had influence on allowing the group to maintain its arsenal. Hafez al-Assad's regime in Syria would continue to dominate Lebanon's internal affairs until the Cedar Revolution kicked them out in 2005. As far as HEZBOLLAH was concerned...
Alright, now let's look at this.
With the enemy nowhere in sight, demonstrators in the northern city of Tripoli took their anger out on a TV crew satellite truck. This is a stronghold of Lebanon's Sunni Muslims, angry that the Iranian-backed Shiite group
This is 2011.
HEZBOLLAH will, for the first time, lead their country's government. HEZBOLLAH is a devil. This rage has roots in the unsolved bombing and assassination of
Just remember this. The people were not happy when Hezbollah took over. Okay? Just remember that.
Rafi Hariri, Lebanon's prime minister. An international investigation is soon expected to hand down murder indictments against senior Hezbollah figures. But rather than take the blame, Hezbollah toppled Lebanon's government and today formed a new one. Which means...
Okay, so there you go. Okay, now...
with destroying...
This is what she hears.
I think they could do better. I think they could do better with respect to Hezbollah. I'm not saying they shouldn't protect themselves. I'm saying when 2 drones are shot into the desert and...
This is good cop, bad cop. Remember, America owns Israel, okay? This is just good cop, bad cop. Basically, it's so convoluted. I believe Israel believes Trump is their messiah. They're going to do whatever they got to do, basically, to get him to rebuild the temple, and then, or at least give them the Temple Mount back, and then he or Barron might create a peace deal with them and guarantee their safety if they stop fighting and bombing everybody. But then after 3 years of the temple being open and them doing their offerings and sacrifices, the world's going to act so offended by it, Trump or the Pope or Barron or whoever is the Antichrist is going to step in there and take over Israel. But we'll see how that plays out, you know. But I believe this is all a show in order for them to grab that power. You got to remember when the Catholics had Jerusalem. That's basically what's going on here, probably again. But it's so that the Antichrist can then stand up and say, I'm him. You know, I'm the one. I'm God.
Drop harmlessly. You don't have to knock down buildings in Beirut. They could behave better. And frankly, they could do a better job.
All right. Now...
to...
You'll have to get the answers to these questions correct.
3, 2,
All right.
1, we're back.
The Israeli attacks, as they should. As they should. Israel killed 4 people after endless announcements from the Iranians indicating if you keep striking Lebanon, if you keep killing people, we're going to retaliate. So Hezbollah retaliated, and they responded rather aggressively. So Dropsite News reports reports are emerging of a serious...
Oh, I'm sorry. I was confused. Here we go.
Air that peace might break out. You get the sense that this has very little to do with Hezbollah and everything to do with destroying, leveling, flattening Lebanon, much like they did with Gaza, making it unlivable so they can take the land. By the way, how many Israelis are there? Like, why do you need all this land?
Well, they believe they have been continually attacked. Hezbollah did set up in Lebanon. I mean, we just watched all that, and it's obviously part of the whole building a Muslim caliphate. Okay, so Israel basically is just trying to clean up the land and make it safe for themselves and take what they believe is rightfully theirs. Now, they might be doing a lot of evil, you know, in order to reach those means, you know, but they are only sinners like the rest of us, and every country has been formed by force. We've been talked about that, okay? So not one country is innocent. We just saw how Hezbollah took over and toppled Lebanon. So this ain't like Hezbollah and them are actually some great people that need to be protected and saved. So what this is just a hate of God, a hatefulness of God. the hatred of God, I should say, his hatred of God, of Yeshua, the one true God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob of the Bible. Because we know what Muslims do. We know how, we can go back and look at all the Islamic caliphates that ever existed, and they weren't nice, they weren't pretty. And here, let's just listen to the rest. Or she had made a comment that, well, let's just listen.
The land you have isn't enough for you? It's... Okay, all right, well, if you want perpetual war, and if you want to create...
And speaking of perpetual war, Solomon, or I believe it was Solomon, maybe it was Saul, but he was so evil in the things he did that God said he would be stuck in a state of perpetual war. And that's what's going, evil, Israel, might be doing the things the wrong way, going about it the wrong way, right? Not waiting, calmly being quiet and waiting, right? Not trusting in Yeshua, but instead going out and fighting their own battles. But that's why they might be stuck in that circle of perpetual state of war, because they're not doing it God's way. But that doesn't mean that you pray on the downfall of God's children when you're lucky to be in the family, because those children have had their hearts hardened for us so that we might have salvation.
Extremism and terrorism, then have at it. The real question is, why does the United States need to be part of any of that?
Because we own them. We created them. They don't exist without us. Think about how they are the size of New Jersey. You talk about how much more land do they need. They are only the size of New Jersey. And we own them. We created them. They don't survive without us.
Now, Trey Yingst has more.
Where did they get their money when they were first created? When they created the nation of Israel, how much money did the nation have in the bank? Somebody gave them money. Somebody owns them. Somebody created them. And you might see it as the tail wagging the dog, but maybe the elites or the owners would rather be over there than here. Think about that. But I don't believe it's that way anyways, because I believe the Pope is involved in all of it. So, and somehow they're going to merge all that nonsense back together: Judaism, Catholicism, and even Islam. They're already moving towards it. So, but let's continue on here.
On what the Israelis have been up to over in Lebanon. Take a look.
Here in Tel Aviv, we are tracking new reports of Israeli airstrikes against Hezbollah in southern Lebanon. Right now, there are Israeli ground forces in southern Lebanon, inside Hezbollah territory. And again, reports indicate they are still conducting airstrikes against Iran's largest proxy. Now, last night, the IRGC threatened to bomb Israel if they continued these strikes. And we heard from Iran's foreign minister just 2 days ago saying that Israeli strikes against Lebanon would be a violation of the Memorandum of Understanding.
Well, Trey is correct. In fact, at least 4 people were killed by Israeli drone strikes in Lebanon on Tuesday. That was just yesterday. I mean, it's so obvious that they're going to continue striking Lebanon. They're going to continue occupying Lebanon because the Israelis don't want a peace deal. So Hezbollah...
That's funny you say the Israelis don't want a peace deal, but the PLO and Hamas and all of them have rejected peace deal after peace deal after peace deal. They've rejected two-state solution after two-state solution after two-state solution.
Has responded pretty aggressively to...
In fact, when Israel gave up the Gaza Strip and left out of there, they left them big businesses, flower, greenhouse businesses, all this, and they sat there and burnt them all down, just to spite Israel.
The Israeli attacks, as they should. As they should. Israel killed 4 people after endless announcements from the Iranians indicating, if you keep striking Lebanon, if you keep killing people, we're going to retaliate. So Hezbollah retaliated, and they responded rather aggressively. So Drop Site News reports reports are emerging of a serious Hezbollah attack on Israeli forces operating in southern Lebanon. Okay, not northern Israel, operating in southern Lebanon. The IDF soldiers are trespassing. They are
trespassing on land that was stolen. Because didn't Hezbollah topple the Lebanese government in 2011 after murdering the prime minister in 2005? Why are you protecting criminals? And look, it's like she's got the fallen angel wings right behind her. Little fallen angel wings. Okay? Doing the devil's work. Getting the world to hate God's kids. And without God's kids, we don't have a chance. We don't have a path to salvation.
in territory in a country that doesn't belong to them.
It doesn't even make sense. It doesn't even make sense. You know, they blind themselves. They're liars. They lie to you. They lie to you, and they're driving you to hate God's kids. And without them, like I said, we don't have a path to salvation. You got to pray for them. Even if you think the Jews are using us and behind our back feeding us horse meat and eating our kids, and you got to pray for them. You got to bless them. And if you trust in Yeshua, the one true God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob of the Bible, then you have nothing to worry about. Because greater is He that is in me than he that is in the world.